Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about radical expressions and functions. So to start off, let's talk about the definitions of them. Nth root is not square root anymore. We're going to talk about square root and nth root. The number b is an nth root of a number a if b to the nth power equals a. Radical sign is called the radical sign, to denote the square root of a number. To indicate roots other than squares, we use the symbol n. Now notice that n is within the little check mark. A reads the nth root of the a. Nth root of the a. When n is called, where n is called the root index, n indicates which root we are to find. If no root index is given, we assume that it is 2. The square root, the number a is called the radicand. N is the number or expression where root we are to find. The entire expression is called radical, and any expressions contain a radical is called a radical expression. So for example number 1, we are going to find out what's the simplifier of the radical. Number 1 is just going to be what number times what number give you 9. They have to be the same. That will be 3. And the next one is negative 0.8. Now, if you understand this, negative sign is on the outside, so that's going to be negative 0.9. The next one is not possible because the negative 9, there's no way you can have a negative times negative or positive times positive 3 give you a negative 9. So that's not possible. The next one, since the square root is outside, you know 11 times 11 is 121. So that's negative positive 11. And there's also rules about square roots. If it's on top and bottom, you can make sure you can square root the 4, square root the 9, and therefore when you simplify, that's just 2 over 3. This, the one with the index number of 3. If you look at all the other one, the index number does not show. Index number, don't forget, is where the location where the check mark is. So now that's my index number. I need 3 of the same thing. Now going back to something we did before is to break down your 8. 2 goes into 8, 4. 2 goes into 4, 2 times. For square root purpose, we circle a pair of 2's. Now we need to have 3 of the same. Triplets. You are circling all 3 to make this problem work. The answer is 2, and you need to have 3 of the 2 to give you the 8. Example 7. You have a negative cube root because that is a third power. Now the problem is you were told before there's no way you can have negative 2 times negative 2 and give you a negative 4. No solution like the one we have before, number 3. But when you have negative 8, you can have the number break down because negative times negative times negative 3 negative will give you negative. Negative 2, if you break it down from before, times negative 2 times negative 2 will give you a negative 8. The answer for this be negative 2. 3 of the same thing will give you negative. Next one, a letter A, you need 4 of them. Of what number gives you 16? So again, I am going to always break it down with the prime number because you don't want to have any numbers that has factors within the factor. For example, 4. That's still 2 times 2. So I'm going to start with 2. That gives me 8. Another 2. That gives me 4. Start another 2, 2. So notice I have 4 2's because the index number tells me I need 4 same numbers. I have 4 of the same numbers. That number is 2. That's how you do anything that has an index number. So going to B, take care of the problem on top. That's square root 25. And on the bottom is square root 36. Square root 25 is just 5. Square root 36 is 6. I would like you guys to try the next letters all the way up to F. In case you got stuck with C, there's 6 2's. Like before, if we have more than one set of them, we're going to multiply them. 3 of the same things, one group right there, that comes out is 2. Then I'm going to group another 3 of the same thing, that's another 2. So the answer for this problem is 4. If you have 4 times 4 times 4, 3 times will give you 64. All right, going on. Here's the answer for D, E, F. D, you have negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 because it's a odd index number right here. You can actually have a negative sign. If you have an even index number, you cannot. Because remember, when you have negative sign, our number always be able to give you a negative. Next one, e with a negative sign on the outside is 2 inside the fourth root, and the negative sign is outside. So -2, negative sign from the outside, and 2 from the fourth root of 81. And f is just x, because x squared is x times x, 2 of them a pair, and since I only require 2 of them to come out of the square root, put down x. Letter G, now we are mixing all the letters and exponents together. This is index number is really 2. Now, that means 2 per group. If you have 6 of them, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is one group, this is one group, this is one group. A to the third power, because I have 3 groups of them. Technically, that's also a to the 6th power, and 6 divided by 2 will give you a to the 3rd power. And literally, this is the index number you are dividing. Now, sometimes you will have a remainder, and so those remainder will stay inside of the square root, and whatever the whole number will come out of square root. So we will definitely try and practice some of them. H, you have 16. What number times what number? We are going to do it in 2 different problems. If you can think about it, it's like square root 16 times square root of x to the 4th. Well, square root 16 is really just 4, and x to the 4th power, so that's just x to the 2nd power, and that's going to be 4x squared. Now, you can also think about that's just divide by 2 for square root, but not every single time if it's not square root. So that's the answer right there. 4x squared. Now I is the same thing, so go ahead, you guys try it. Letter I is going to be 5x to the 4th over 7y. Square root 25 is 5. Square root of x to the 8th, remember I said it's divided by 2 because my index number is 2. The bottom is square root 49 is 7. Y squared divided by 2 is going to be y to the 1st power, therefore we don't have to write it. Example letter J. Notice the index number in this case is going to be 3. Now because of 3, we are going to divide by 3. So 6 power divided by 3 power is going to be 2. So when we're talking about index number, we are actually looking at the powers. So that's going to be just y to the 2nd power. If you don't understand this, let me draw it out for you guys. Have y to the 6, y times y times y times y times y times y. 3 per group. That's one group. That's 2 group. That's going to be y right here, and that's y right there. That's why how I got the y squared. So now please pause your video. Try example K and example L. Now don't forget, the way to do this is split into different problems. Take care of your number first, then take care of your exponents. So for example K, don't forget it's 16. Well, now when you break it down everything, I have 4 2's, and the index number right here tells you I need 4 of them to form my group. You have 4. So because you can group that as 1, you got 1 set of 2. Then the same thing is x to the 12th, divide by 4, or if you write out all 12 x's, put them 4 in a group, you will have 3 of them. The answer for K is 2x to the 3rd. For the next set of notes, it's radical functions. So we are going to evaluate f of x, and then we are also going to graph them, plugging f of 3. So f of 3 equals square root of 3x minus 2. So we are going to plug it in. 3 times 3 minus 2. And don't forget, you have to take care of whatever is under the square root first, and then do order of operation, and then we take a look at what's under the square root. 3 times 3 is 9, minus 2, that's just square root of 7. And that will be your answer. The next one, you guys go ahead, try it. So next problem, letter B says f of x equals square root of 2x minus 6. Find f of 0. That plugging 0, it's a square root of negative 6. And then because we know that there's no negative number can be under the square root, so therefore for this problem is no solution. Then the next section says find the domain of each of the following. Domain is x, so don't forget that. So I want to find all the x value that works for this problem. Now, do you guys remember we just did a problem above and says if it's a negative number, it's no solution. So therefore, anything under the whole square root right here, this whole thing cannot be be smaller than 0. Any negative number doesn't work. We understand that we are going to say x minus 4 can be greater than equal to 0. When you solve it, x is going to be greater than or equal to 4. When you plug it in, 4 minus 4 is 0. Square root of 0 is 0. The domain is either in interval notation, it's going to start at 4 and goes on to positive infinity, or set notation, x is going to greater than or equal to 4. You guys try letter B. So for the next problem, negative 2x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 0. When I solve it, don't forget to change your sign. X is less than or equal to 3. And I plug it in here to show you guys. Negative 2 times 3 equals 6. And negative 6 plus 6 is going to give you 0. And therefore, you can definitely have a 0. But as we keep plugging the number now, understand x is less than or equal to 3. So let's pick 2. And this is where I show. Negative 2 times 2 gives you negative 4 plus 6. That's going to be square root 2. And yes, that totally works. So therefore, the answer for this problem is going to be, all your domain is going to be negative infinity to 3 bracket. And or set notation is x. And then it's going to be x is less than or equal to 3. And those are your answer for letter B. And then, yes, you can check it. You don't have to check it. But as long as understand, anything under the square root has to be greater than or equal to 0 to get your domain. And that concludes today's notes. And thank you so much for watching.